All right, Miami Dolphins fans, joint practice number one for our Dolphins against the Houston, Texans, I should say, is in the books. We have another one tomorrow that's leading up to Saturday's preseason game against the Texans preseason week number two. We'll see if we get any more of the actual starters playing in that game. But today's joint practice, another day just kind of loaded with ups, some downs. We did get some news as well from Mike McDaniel and his pre-practice media availability, talking a little bit about Christian Wilkins. I want to lead off with that before I jump into the Christian Wilkins news from the day. Got some insight on that as well. Got to hear from you. Your thoughts on the first joint practice with the Texans, how Dolphins camp is going so far, things you're looking forward to Saturday's game against the Texans. Go ahead, drop them in the comments. But the news today, outside of what's going on the field, is Christian Wilkins essentially staging a hold-in. So what does that mean? That basically means I'm showing up, I'm here, I'm not necessarily holding out, I'm not away from the teams, but I'm not participating in team drills. Now, here's kind of where that news comes in, because if you remember from the episodes last week, the joint practices with the Falcons, gave them some light work in the first one, basically said, second one, we're giving you the day, we want to see how the young guys do without you. Well, Christian Wilkins and his agent kind of got some ideas from that. And you know what? This is not a bad idea. This is a good way to potentially hold out for a new contract, while at the same time, we're not have to worry about getting hurt if we're not participating in these team drills. So they've went with that. And the whole thing is like, there's still a chance that a deal maybe doesn't get done prior to the season. But the team, based on my understanding, isn't really all that worried about that. Like if there was an actual game coming up, Christian Wilkins, they believe, would be on the field. He would be ready to go. This is more of a precaution. Hey, let's try to get a deal done. Let's work on it. But they don't anticipate this kind of hold in, hold out really lasting into the season. So yeah, he wants to get that money that we're seeing all these other defensive tackles get. The Dexter Lawrences, the Quinnen Williams, all these guys that are just getting paid. And by my understanding, they're still probably $2 to $3 million apart per year, but they are working on that. So we'll have to see, continue to monitor. But as of right now, Christian Wilkins not partaking in any team drills, at least for the foreseeable future here. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. We'll start with Tua. Let's start with the positives, because yes, he did throw 3 or 4, depending on the reports you're reading, touchdowns in red zone drills today for our Dolphins. He did have an interception, pick 6 to Christian Harris. That name sounds familiar. It's a former Alabama linebacker. And then he threw a pick 6 to Jalen Pitre in the final 2-minute drive period, basically to end practice. And I do have video of that one. We're going to pop up here. Tua's going to look to the right. He's going to fire it back to Chosen. It sort of looks like Chosen kind of slows down on the play. We'll talk about that more here in a second. I'll show you that one again just so you can see the play. Like I said, looks left, fires back right. And end of the day, it's a great play by Pitre. I mean, that's a great vantage point as well. He saw that Tua was doing his head-eye manipulation thing and just completely reacted and made the play on it. And the media actually asked him Tua about those 2 throws in particular during his media availability after practice. And Tua, tip of the hat to Harris on the first one. You know what? That's just a good defender making a good play. He did note a little bit of a miscommunication, a mix-up one way or another with, which I believe was Robbie Chosen on that play on the second one. As you can see right there, it was a great play by the defense. Yeah, maybe Chosen kind of gave up on it or didn't cut in early enough. Regardless, I don't know what the play was called, but regardless, yes, an interception, 2 pick 6s nonetheless. But keep this in mind. And those that have been at the practices, and then what I'm being told by my connection with the team as well, is that the Dolphins, I mean, they're not showing anything yet. What they're doing is very basic and very fundamental. And keep in mind, in a lot of these team periods, they're not playing with Teron Armstead. And recently, they're not playing with Jaylen Waddle. They're not playing full force whatsoever, and they're not showing their hand really in all this stuff while the media is present and while the fans are in attendance. So once again, no need to overreact. Let's take the 4 red zone touchdowns and the 2 interceptions just with a grain of salt. That's just kind of what it is, but we got to report on the news that happened today. Let's go on to the running backs. Raheem Mostert caught one of those 2 red zone touchdowns. Not much else noteworthy from the running backs, besides the point that I was told that if Miami were to continue, obviously we know Dalvin Cook has signed with the New York Jets. So if Miami were to continue their free agent kind of approach to running back, still trying to find somebody, the names to watch would be Leonard Fournette and Kareem Hunt. Now, nothing contract wise, nothing even remotely close to being done there. I'm just saying that if they were to add somebody, keep those two names in mind as people that they are monitoring. Wide receivers, Braxton Berrios was back from his first time after suffering the cut on his head against the Falcons, which needed stitches. Noted for probably the longest play of the day, had the 70-yard touchdown from Skylar Thompson. Also went down low and got a catch from Mike White and caught one of Tua's red zone touchdowns. Tyreek Hill also caught a red zone touchdown from Tua, had another 20-yard catch of note down the sideline from Tua. The other guy catching one of Tua's touchdowns was River Cracraft. And then Robbie Chosen, noted for a 20-yard catch from Mike White. And then Eric Ezukama rounding out the wide receivers, noted for a bigger kind of second half of the practices, several catches in both red zone work and 11-on-11 action. Tight ends, only one to report on the day. Durham Smythe actually had a 40-yard catch from Tua during the 2-minute drill at the very end of practice before that interception. Tua went through all of his reads, didn't see anyone, came back to Durham Smythe wide open down the middle of the field. One beat writer even noted that Durham Smythe kind of had a big day today. Caught as many passes today as he probably has in all the rest of the camp practices combined. So good to see Smythe getting a little bit of action in the passing game. We all know that's not his calling card. We all know that when the season comes, that's not going to be a realistic tight end that they're going to be targeting all the time. But good to see that when his number is called, that he's actually making a couple of plays out there. Offensive line, Teron Armstead did participate in some team drills today. He had made some comments about trying to ramp up his practice here a little bit as we go on through camp. And Lester Cotton, noted for winning all three of his one-on-one individual offensive line, defensive line reps. Candidate for left guard. I mean, with Liam Eichenberg, who we'll talk, who really didn't get to practice today, the rotation between Robert Jones and Isaiah Wynn, throw Lester Cotton into that mix as well. If he can get his name out there, maybe we can get some more reps here on Saturday in that preseason game as well. And then Connor Williams credited with one low snap to Tua, so obviously something that he's continued to work on since he's been here playing center for the Dolphins. Defensively, had a Texans beat writer noted numerous times where CJ Stroud essentially just doing rookie things, holding on to the ball too long. Miami's defense was really clamping on it, nowhere to go with it, likely resulting in sacks and actual in-game performance. But man, that defense in Fangio, I really thought when Ramsey went down that I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a curve here. You just lost one of the best defenders in the entire NFL. I think ever since Ramsey's come out, the defense has had a pretty damn positive report. So the fact that they've been able to kind of plug and play, the scheme is working, everything that they're doing right now is sort of clicking. Just got to continue to hope that we don't get any more injuries because Kohu's a little bit banged up now as well. But I'm really impressed with Fangio, with the secondary, with everything that's going on, minus Jalen Ramsey. And speaking of a defender that's just become unblockable this offseason, Jalen Phillips found a new team to menace today, obviously being the Texans, noted for having his way with George Fant, credited with 2 more sacks, numerous quarterbacks pressures. Can you remember a training camp report recap that didn't have him getting at least a sack or 2? Guy has been all over the field, loving what we're hearing from him. Andrew Van Ginkel did have an interception on Davis Mills, added 2 additional pass breakups, so nice to see him added to today's report as well. Also getting credited with would-be sacks were Bradley Chubb and Raekwon Davis. Now, I talked about the secondary. They did allow 3 red zone touchdowns to rookie wide receiver Tank Dell. Never want to allow 3 receiving touchdowns to any player, let alone a rookie. So that's something they're going to have to work on heading into tomorrow's practice as well. Also allowed a notable red zone touchdown to new tight end Dalton Schultz. We talked a little bit about the injuries. Waddle basically said he was good to go. They're basically protecting him from himself. I'm told it's bruised ribs. He could play if there was a game tomorrow. They're going to hold him out. They're going to play it safe with him. And then Cam Smith was on the field, but he was in a red no-contact jersey. Others that didn't practice, Myles Gaskin, Braylon Sanders, Alec Ingold, Justin Bethel, Keon Crossan, and Brandon Jones. Liam Eichenberg was dressed. However, he did not practice. Coach kind of chalked that up to a little bit of a nagging injury at this point in time. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll see what Saturday brings with the actual game against the Texans as well in regards to that left guard spot. But that's what I've got. Let's hear what your thoughts are regarding Wilkins and his hold-in, regarding the on-field performance today, what your thoughts are heading into Saturday. And until next time, Dolphins fans, fins up.